The rate that cancer kills people is truly ghastly. It is becoming one of the new parasites on the face of the earth.
According to recent studies, cancer apparently kills 7.6 million people in the world and 1.7 million people in the US. Now, with that in accordance, let's look at how exactly cancer threatens humans emotionally, physically, and mentally. Now, emotionally, people often feel sadness and anger towards God or some other being or just the universe for instilling cancer upon their body and basically sentencing them to death. Physically, it takes a toll on the body because you have to get many surgeries, also including chemotherapy and radioactivity in your body to try to get rid of the cancer. And mentally, it makes you worry about everything that's happening to you, emotionally, mentally, and to your body, because clearly you don't want to get cancer again. Now, we can see this all explained in a personal interview from Ben Askren to Anna Sanders.
What kind of cancer did you have?
I had breast cancer in my left breast.
What process did you take to figure out you had breast cancer?
Well, I always got a yearly mammogram and have for years, ever since I was 40, once a year, and they were always fine. But this time I actually found the lump, a small pea-sized lump, when I was taking a shower. And you know, they talk about doing self-breast exams, and the best time to do it is in the shower when you're wet, and I could feel it. And it felt like it was about the size of a pea. So I went to my gynecologist, and he felt it, and he said, well, it's really small, it doesn't really feel like a cancer, but he sent me to a general surgeon so he could check it out just to make sure. And then the general surgeon took a needle biopsy of it, actually stuck a needle in the spot, drew out some cells, sent it off to the lab, and it was malignant. So that's how I actually discovered it.
What process did you go through to beat the cancer?
Okay, the very first thing that not my oral surgeon, excuse me, my general surgeon did was, as soon as he found out that it was cancer, then I went into the hospital and I had a complete mastectomy. And that's when they cut diagonally across your breast and open it up and take all of your breast tissue out, all of it. And they also take off your nipple, because lots of times, if they've learned through years and years of doing these things, that lots of times they can take the breast tissue and they leave the nipple, but there's cancer cells in the nipple that they didn't know about. So they take the nipple off too. Then you have your choice of having reconstruction or not. Well, I was only 46 years old, which is comparatively young to have that happen. And so, because of my self-esteem and I was still young, I wanted reconstruction. And what that meant was, immediately after they took all my breast tissue out, I've still got the outside skin, just not the breast tissue inside. Then they put an implant, a breast implant, and put that in there. And then, they go ahead and sew you up. And that's the operation side of it. But then you have to go back, depending upon what kind of an implant it is. I had to go back like once a month, and they would use they had a little port that they could fill up the implant with, because each woman is different in whether or not they had big breasts to begin with or little ones. So I had to have the outer part of my skin stretched with this expander that went into the implant to stretch the skin so it could actually hold the right size of the implant for the size of my shape, my body frame. So that drew it out, for a longer period of time, which is uncomfortable. Oh, and then you asked also, I had to have any cancer patient, of any kind of cancer, they check your lymph nodes to see if it's in your lymph nodes. If it's in your lymph nodes, that's not good. They check to see if it's in any other parts surrounding your breast. Well, first of all, the surgeon felt real comfortable with the fact that he got everything and it was real small and it was slow growing. I didn't have any cancer in any of the lymph nodes in my body, which was fantastic. Then the next thing that happens is they send an oncologist to the hospital to check all your medical records and see what's going on with you. And because anytime you've got any form of cancer, you have to have an oncologist follow up with either radiation, chemotherapy, sometimes both. I was absolutely blessed. My oncologist came in. I did not have to have chemotherapy, nor did I have to have radiation, which was just a gift from God as far as I'm concerned. I did have to take a drug that's called tamoxifen, Tamoxin, I believe, tamoxifen, and I had to take that for 5 years. And what that does is it inhibits estrogen, because estrogen, you know, I'm a female and I have estrogen, you know, in my body, and the estrogen was making my breast cancer, the cancer in there, grow. So they gave me tamoxifen. I had to take one a day for 5 straight years, and basically what it did was shut off the estrogen output that my body was making and kind of put me into early menopause. But that was it's a great drug, and that was the best thing he could have done, because it stopped what was making it want to grow, and it also stopped maybe happening in my other breast. So I was very lucky.
You can see effects of cancer explained by Anna Sanders and the process of how exactly cancer is treated.
Now, cancer awareness is very important. You can see this in the case of Anna Sanders, where she explained how exactly cancer affected her and the process that she had to go through to get the cancer out of her body. Now, going back to the deaths in the U.S. and the world, 1.7 million people in the U.S. die each year from cancer, and 7.6 million people in the world. We have to see that spreading the awareness of cancer is not only good for medicinal advancement and more awareness, but it's also good to see the effects of cancer and how exactly it hurts the families in the United States and the world. Please be aware of how deadly cancer really is.